What's going on, everyone? It's Sheena, aka Sheenapreneur, your favorite veteran. Today I want to talk to you about the last quarter of 2024. So if you're operating on the federal system, then you know that the fiscal year for the federal contracting world is from October 1st, and then you go all the way through the end of the year, and then you start over and it goes through September 30th. So right now in July, that will be the fourth quarter of 2024. So I wanted to give you a couple of tips how you can get prepared for the new fiscal year in 2024. So basically, when it comes to the fiscal year, most agencies on the federal side are going to operate on the fiscal calendar year, pretty much all federal agencies. But also some state agencies and even some commercial agencies operate on the federal fiscal system. And I may be saying it wrong, or federal fiscal calendar. I may not have that all the way right, but pretty much that's what it is. It's from October 1st through September 30th. Usually at the state and local level, their fiscal year is going to be July 1st through June 30th. And then just for commercial, most companies just operate from January 1st through December 31st. For the purpose of this video, of course, we're talking about the last quarter of the fiscal year, which starts in July, and this is 2024. So I want to give you a couple of tips on how you can get yourself prepared for the end of the fiscal year in order to be more marketable for the beginning of the new fiscal year, which starts October 1st. The first thing I want you to do is to practice your messaging. So a lot of us, especially if you're brand new, you may not even be able to properly explain what you do or what your company does. And so you want to make sure that you have that, especially if you're using this method or this strategy in order to get contracts for the next fiscal year. Because usually when it comes to the end of the fiscal year, that means that there's money or dollars that the federal agency is not able to spend, haven't not been able to spend. And usually they make pretty hasty decisions, but they have to be able to make the decision in confidence. They have to know that if they're going with you, with your company and your services, because they only have like a month or they only have a few months to spend in this last quarter, they have to feel good about what you're bringing to the table. So if you're not able to explain what you do, what your company does, like what your actual service is, your actual business service is, then usually they're not going to go with you anyway, no matter how much marketing you do. Sometimes you can get lucky, but most of the time it's a no. So be really clear on what your messaging is. What problem do you solve? And it may not even be a specific problem, right? Like my company, Foresight Industries, does facility management. So we do janitorial, litter pickup, pressure washing, painting, and all the type of inside and outside maintenance. So we're able to explain that. And if a company or agency asks, oh, okay, so do you also do drywall? Absolutely, we do drywall. Without hesitation, we know that we do that. That's usually a part of painting. So you have to be really clear on what your business is in order to be able to promote that to a federal agency or any agency for that matter. In addition to that, you can also promote your services to larger prime contractors. So you might want to take the route of going with a larger company or an actual large company, and promoting your services to them to say, okay, well, maybe they've won a contract or they're looking to do the same method I am, and I want to be a subcontractor for them. Let me promote my business services to a prime contractor or a larger company that may be getting a contract, or they may be on a contract and they might need you. Right place, right time, right circumstance. So you have to be really clear on what you do. I'm seeing a lot of stuff on the internet where people are just like, I'm using the middleman method, I don't have a service. You're going to set yourself up for a lot of pain and suffering throughout this contracting journey just by doing that. You may win a couple of contracts that way, but when you start to build, if you're looking to do this as a side hustle and you're trying to throw something up against the wall, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people who are trying to build a business, trying to build a legacy, trying to build at least a business for a period of time in order to sell it. I'm not talking to the people who are treating this like a side hustle. You guys are not my demographic, respectfully. But if you're like, okay, Sheena, after watching your videos, now I want to be a person that is taking this seriously and treating this like a real business, then those are the people I'm talking to. Y'all, that's who I'm talking to. So you want to be really, really clear on your messaging. So number 2 is gather the agency contacts. So you have multiple ways to find agency contacts. You may have some contracts that you went after, some federal contracts that you went after. And this is really for like the federal fiscal year or any other local agency that is operating on the federal fiscal year system, where it's from October 1st through September 30th. So this is not truly exclusive to federal, but we know that all federal agencies use this fiscal year timeline, if you will. So you want to gather the agency contacts, and if you've already bid on stuff and you have the contracting officers information, you want to just kind of start an email campaign. It doesn't have to be anything super fancy. It could be, if you want a contract throughout this time, since the last time you contacted this contracting officer, or maybe you haven't sent any emails to any contracting officers outside of submitting a bid, just gather all their data and start marketing to them. It could be something super simple like sending your capability statement, sending any work that you've won, whether it's commercial, corporate, federal, local, anything, even any kind of volunteer efforts. You want to gather that information and send it out an email so you can be at top of mind, because at the end of the fiscal year, the federal agencies especially, or any agency that's operating on that system, is trying to spend money. They're trying to, because if they don't use it, they literally lose it. So let me just go on a tangent, not a tangent, but let me go on a little explanation journey with that. Now, I worked in the federal government as a soldier for 20 years. I did about 2 to 3 years and 2 separate GS positions for the federal government. So I've seen a lot, right? And a lot of times we have gotten a surplus of money from the federal agency that's above us, or whatever the case may be, and we have to spend it in a very, very short period of time. So that's a real thing where agencies have to spend a certain amount of money, or they're not going to get the same amount the following year. Let's just say the Department of Interior is given $50 million each year for IT services, right? And so for whatever reason, the Department of Interior has not put forth an effort to spend that money, whether they got it too late, didn't have any qualified companies to spend the money with on. It might be July 1st and they still have $45 million to spend. And so they're in a frenzy trying to figure out, how can I spend all this money in 3 months? And so here you come, la la la, I do IT services, and we have a track record, and we have, a business that's already built. We may not have done any federal, but we do have, some past performance, and we're a professional company. They might be like, oh my goodness, whew, I'm so glad I found y'all, because we need someone at least to spend $2-3 million on for the next 5 years, or whatever the case may be. So you might be the right place, right time, right circumstance. So you want to gather all the federal agency contacts that you already have, any ones that you actually found when you gone to a networking event. You can do that. Also, when it comes to networking events, that's another thing to do. If there's going to be a lot of networking events that are at during this fourth quarter, you want to kind of parade around them as much as possible. Let them know, because in your mind, you already know that there's probably an agency in that networking event. If you're going to a federal conference or something like that, you already know that there are some agencies there that need to spend this money in the next 3 months. So you just want to make sure you say, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do, and I would love to help you and reach your goals. That's what you're doing. You let them know who you are, but you also tell them how you can help them. That's the most important thing. They don't want you to come and say, I do this and I'm great and da 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 da. No. They don't want that, and they also don't want the other extreme where you don't know what the hell you do. Trust me, that is never ever gonna work. So you want to you go to those networking events. You want to gather as much agency information as you can as far as contacts. You want to use the ones that you already had. You want to find them on the internet. Go to sam.gov and find just any contract, really, because they don't always, contracting officers and CORs and contract specialists do not always have the same types of contracts. So really, you can look at, or go on sam.gov, and they might ignore you. You never know, but it's the power in numbers. Like if you reach out to 100 federal agency contacts and only 5 reach back out, that's a great number, because some of them don't reach out at all. And they might say, oh my goodness, I've been looking for you. I need to use your services. So that's a really good way to start July 1st, or you can start now, it's whatever, but it's technically, officially the fourth quarter when July 1st starts. So you want to be able to gather those contacts and market to them by sending your capability statement, by sending a couple of lines saying what you do, or what you have actually accomplished in the last however many months, however many years, and just let them know who you are. And then sometimes you just let them do the rest. So even outside of sam.gov, you can go to FPDS and look at some agency contacts there. It really, any federal agency website that you've been using, you can use that same website to find any agency contacts and just, use that and build your email list. You can just start there if you don't already have an email list. You don't necessarily need some kind of email software. They have things like HubSpot and other Active Campaign and MailChimp and other services that you can purchase, or you can use the free versions, but you can also just put it all in a spreadsheet and just, kind of keep track of it there. It just depends on where you are in your journey. Also, if you're using like a Google Workspace or G Suite or something like that, or Outlook, they'll let you build one within the software, so you can keep those emails and you can just build on it from there. So it's really, really easy to keep some of these contacts and where to find them. It's sam.gov, FPDS, or any other marketing emails that you receive. You can send emails to them. Just start there. It may not always work, and that's okay. You just move on to the next thing, but it's a really good way to market to some of these existing contracting officers. Another one would be reaching out to some of the primes that have already won contracts. I touched on that a little bit, but really, if there's say you bid on a contract already, a federal contract, and you saw that another company won, like a larger company, larger than you, really. And so you could just reach out to them and ask, do you have anything available that you are working on for the fiscal year, the end of the fiscal year? Or is there anything that you need support on? Because here's the services that we provide. That's how you build true relationships, because really you want to be at the top of mind with everyone that you're reaching out to. So then eventually you don't have to reach out, and they'll reach out to you to give you work. That's the whole premise of all of this, is to not have to bid and to not just throw something up against the wall, but to actually build the relationships. I know a lot of people, if you've gone to any conferences or any events, and everyone always says, oh, it's all about relationships. Yes and no, because I have won nearly all of my contracts. Probably 80% of my contracts have been just me bidding, and I didn't know anyone, not a singular soul in that location. So yeah, you building relationships is definitely important, but it's not the end all be all. So I don't want you to get stuck on, I have to build relationships and do nothing else, and then I'll have, an abundant amount of contracts. Yeah, maybe not at the beginning, but toward the end, where you've already have a proven track record, then it's really important to have some relationships built to where your information is shared without you having to be there. The next thing would be sending unsolicited proposals. So if you're an expert at what you do, let's say you have an invention, let's say you have an educational product, let's say you know what you're doing, and you've already been doing this for many years before you even got into government contracting, and you know that there's an agency. You got to find the agencies that buy what you sell. Not every agency is going to buy what you sell. Not every agency is going to buy, IT. Well, most of them do IT. For the most part, a lot of agencies buy a lot of the same stuff, but if you do something where it's more advantageous to go after an agency that does that specifically, then that is a great place to start with sending unsolicited proposals. So let me explain. So let's just say you're in education. The video I did with Alveris, where she's in education, she sent an unsolicited proposal, and then, albeit it was a local level, but still an unsolicited proposal to a school system. And it was something that wasn't out for bid. They didn't even know they needed it. She's like, I know you need it. Let me send you this proposal. And it worked. She created her own contract, essentially. So if you're in education and you want to do the federal route, then you could just send it to the Department of Education. I mean, it's a shot in the dark, but sometimes a shot in the dark hit the target. So why not? And it gives you good practice, because if they accept it, or they're like, you know what, I really love this idea, we just don't have the money for it right now, then you just know you're still getting feedback. They might give you feedback on whatever proposal you submitted. Now, unsolicited proposal is going to be, of course, harder than just bidding on a contract, because I know some of y'all don't even want to get past the bidding on a contract. But for those who are maybe a little more advanced, and you have submitted proposals and you've done it on the commercial side, and you kind of have an idea, you don't necessarily have to understand federal contracting to a T to send a proposal that you would have already sent to another company, that you've sent to another company before. So that's one of the good things about unsolicited proposals, is that you just send it to them. It's something that you do anyway, or it's just something that you want to tailor it toward that agency. Now, you don't want to just throw some, media kit at them. You want to kind of structure it like, I see that the Department of Interior is missing this element at this specific location, or this group of locations in the Southeast. I see you don't have these type of proposals going out. So we would love to be able to provide that service for you, or that product for you. So it's a little tricky. It's a little more advanced, but it's something that can absolutely be done. It doesn't even have to be super robust robust because the feedback is what we thrive and live off of, right? So you might have thought you were the best landscaper on earth, but you keep getting negative feedback, you're probably not the best landscaper on earth. That's just what it is. So we always want to ask for feedback, even when we're doing an unsolicited proposal. If they say, do not send an unsolicited proposal ever again in your life. Okay, well now you know that agency is not the one to send an unsolicited proposal to. But then, you know I'm a rebel, if y'all can't tell already. If this is not your first video with me, then I'm like, okay, that's cool. Well, when you leave, because I'm still going to be here, that person who received it, whether it's the contracting officer, contracting specialist, contract representative, they may be the person, the gatekeeper who doesn't want the unsolicited proposal, but someone else that comes in new may be good with that. They might be like, oh, that's less work for me, child. I can just justify this, get it funded, and especially if you have a certification like service disabled veteran owned, if you have, especially if you're at the 8A, 100%, if you have any hub zone or any other certifications, woman owned, then they're more likely to, you know, probably take an unsolicited proposal. You never know. You can do this at the local side as well. It's very rampant at the local side because a lot of times they don't have, it's from what I see and what I experience, they don't have a lot of time to explore what they need. And so if you're bringing something that you know they absolutely need, then it's a great selling point. And one just quick example I'll give, when I was actually working for the federal government, that agencies, they kind of knew they needed, they weren't using it. They were using a system that wasn't as robust or as easy. Something that I was an expert in was SharePoint. For those who don't know, SharePoint is like a shared portal that a lot of companies within an agency can use to share information and build websites and stuff within that particular system, and it's through Microsoft. I was a SharePoint instructor for a lot of years, child, and traveled across the country teaching SharePoint. And so there were people who were doing really, really long and complicated processes that could easily be done in SharePoint. And so they're like, oh, like we kind of knew about it, but we weren't really using it. We weren't using it the way that you explained it, Sheena. So I kind of, I was working for the federal government, so I didn't get no contract for that, but it was still explaining it to them to make them understand that they do need that. So they were willing to bring me on a mobilization where I was getting paid full-time active duty to teach about SharePoint for, I don't even know, 4 years, something like that. So stuff like that is like how you kind of create your own work, your own job. You could do that as a solo person as well. So just something to think about. The next thing would be like just mass marketing. So anyone on your email list, you just send them emails. This is what we do. This is what we do. This is what we do. And that may or may not work. I mean, you could just send newsletters. You can send the marketing emails with your capability statement, with, again, the one-liners, the two-liners to anyone, because it might just be a company that didn't necessarily know what you did, but then someone's like, oh, do you know anyone that does janitorial? And they're like, oh yeah, I just saw an email from Sheena's company, Foresight Industries, where she was just saying she wanted a new janitorial contract. I'm glad she just sent it because it just reminded me that she does that, and then I get connected with someone else, so they're speaking on my behalf, and that's a help. That actually, one of my highest federal contract was kind of not exactly like that, but it was through someone else that I knew. So that's a really, really good way to get ready for the end of the fiscal year. And I just want to share those. That was supposed to be 5, but there was about 10 in there. So I'm hoping that you all are able to use these methods for the end of the fiscal year. And please, 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 you could do this anytime, really. So depending on when you see this video, of course, it's going to determine how you move, but you can do it at the beginning of the fiscal year as well. I've actually seen where the agency is granted new money, and so they didn't have any money. They used all their money for the last of the fiscal year. And so the beginning of the new fiscal year, they're like, hey, boom, we got money now. So let's go ahead and execute that contract. So that's also a thing. People think that you're not getting awarded contracts at the end of the year. That's false. That's hogwash. It's not true. So I've gotten several contracts in December, which is, I know that's kind of crazy. And I've heard other people say that they were awarded contracts right before Christmas. So none of that is true. Now, is there a season? It depends on what industry you're in. It depends on so many things, right? So I would say, depending on when you're watching the video, will determine how you work. But you can, the end of the fiscal year, the beginning of the fiscal year, I'll probably say are the most robust, maybe. But then again, if you're in, let's say, landscaping or something that's done seasonally, then the most landscaping contracts are going to be in like January, February timeframe. So it really just depends. It just depends. But I hope that this video was helpful for those who were just trying to figure out what should they do. They knew they had to do something. So they did this at the, doing this at the end of the fiscal year could be a great help help to you. And if you did have some success with this video, please leave it in the comments. Please. We want to hear all wins, okay? So I want to hear if this video helped you and you implemented any of these strategies or any strategies maybe that I have missed. Please leave in the comments. And if you feel like I did actually, Sheena, you missed this whole part, leave it in the comments. I can do a part 2 and be like, you know, boop, I forgot. I want to make sure that you guys get all the information because that's what I'm here for. So until next time, it's your favorite veteran.